Yo, what is up, y'all? Mental Muscle Coach here. And thanks to popular demand, I put up the survey yesterday and you guys responded and you wanted to hear about why it is that we often can't run fast or hit hard in our nightmares. Now, some of you guys were like, yo, what the hell are you talking about? Why would I want to hear about that? But then others of you who have related to that, who have experienced it, were like, yo, I hate that shit. When that happens, it's so annoying, especially if you're running away from something in a dream or somebody pisses you off and you try to throw the fade and you try to fight them and you end up hitting them like this. And then you wake up and you're like, yo, what was going on? It's because of the fact that we had some crazy shit going on in our brain that relates to the way that we dream and the different processes that are going on when we dream. So let's get into it. So first off, there's a particular population that was absolutely vital to learning about this because, I mean, how is it that you can gain any type of quantitative information about dreaming that you can measure, about what's happening to us in our dreams, especially a reasoning behind why we experience certain things in our dreams. So that particular population was lucid dreamers, people who have the ability to control certain elements of their dreams, people who have developed a level of autonomy so that they can alter the environment. They can alter, different behaviors and things that are going on within the dream. So essentially, they've gained control over those neurological functions while in the sleeping state. To start learning about dreams and learning about how it is that we experience dreams, there was this German university, I can't say the name because it was in German, but there was this particular university where they got a population, a sample size of lucid dreamers, and they instructed them to tickle themselves within the dream. And so now in real life, when we tickle ourselves, if you try it, you can't actually tickle yourself because your brain identifies what's about to happen. It prepares itself for it, and so it shuts that sensory data down because it's saying, I don't need that data. I know what I'm doing, it's not gonna work. Whereas if someone else tries to tickle you, obviously they can tickle you because the brain identifies that that other person is an enigma. I don't know, what they're necessarily doing, so I need that sensation there so I can understand it. If your eyes are closed, that tickling you feel, it might be the legs of a spider. That tickling you feel might be the whiskers of a lion. And so you're gonna wanna freaking know that shit. You're gonna wanna know why that lion's whiskers are tickling you. Oh, okay, it's about to eat me, I should run. You know what I mean? So they found this though when the lucid dreamers tried to tickle themselves. The lucid dreamers reported that they could not tickle themselves within the dream. And also, now here's the cool part, is when they asked other people within the dream to tickle them, they refused, which ultimately meant that there was an immense amount of awareness that's still present by the brain in dreams. That there's a part of the brain, or at least a portion of the brain, that's still trying to play God, that's still trying to make things predictable. It's still trying to control certain outcomes. And so even when they instructed other people to tickle them, they refused to do it. So now we understand that even with a conscious dreamer, there were still elements of the brain that were in a state of dissonance, where they were not going to just immediately agree. So it shows that there are some parts of the brain that have deep awareness, and there's other parts of the brain that can be immersed in the dream. And this is going to be important for where we're going. Just stick with me. Now, we've established that, but the second and other most important element here is they needed to understand time perception, how it is that time is perceived in dreams relative to how it's perceived in the waking state. So another study was held with lucid dreamers where they were basically informed to perform remedial tasks within the dream, where they would be told to, let's say, count to a particular number like 20 or 30 or 40, or they'd be told to take 10 paces, 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. And they would instruct, or they would rather inform the researchers that they had begun the task by rapidly moving their eyes back and forth horizontally from left to right. Now, they were able to do this because while our body is paralyzed during the time of sleep, our eyes are typically not paralyzed. That's why when we talk about REM sleep, REM stands for rapid eye movement. So our eyes are still able to move even when our body is in a state of paralysis. So that's how they would inform the researchers. So they'd move their eyes rapidly when they started, and then they'd move them rapidly again when they'd completed whatever task. And they found out that when dreamers were doing these tasks, it often took them 50% longer or more to complete particular tasks, meaning that they were taking longer to do the things in the dream that it would take them to do outside of the dream. So here's where it all comes to a head. What all of this information is saying is that there is dissonance within the brain when we are sleeping, that there are sections of the brain that are fully immersed in the dream or fully immersed in the simulation. And there are other parts of the brain that are still playing God, that are still aware of waking time and respectively are still acting as if we would when we are awake. And so the part of the brain that is still alert, that is still aware of the waking state, is calculating and perceiving things like time and space and power in waking state time. But there's parts of the brain that are interpreting and perceiving that data in sleeping state time. So let's say the brain is saying, okay, I remember that force equals mass times acceleration. So the mass of my fist, at this particular acceleration is going to cause this much force that I'm used to when I throw a punch. So it's calculating all of that in the waking state. But when you observe it in the sleeping state, instead of it coming through real fast, you feel it and see it coming through like this. And so the part of your brain that is immersed in the simulation, that's observing it move slowly, is also affecting all of the other elements in the environment. So the other entities in the dream, the other people and the other things in the dream are responding to it as if it's slow motion too, because you're seeing it in slow motion. You get what I'm saying? So there's basically, it's almost like there's two versions of you, where there's the part of you that's performing in the dream and the part of you that's watching that happen and is like, yo, there's something fucked up going on here. Like, this is weird. And so it's crazy. That's the reason why we feel like we're punching slow or we're punching weak and we're running slow. Whereas in actuality, the other part of our brain is like, no, I calculated this right. What's going on? And we're just freaking confused. So we as humans are some crazy MFers. We got a lot of weird shit going on, but that's the reason behind all this, guys. At least that's the main theory that's, standing behind this until we bring some new theories, until we see some new things that may uproot this belief system. So hey, I love you guys. Mental Muscle Coach out. Let me know if you fuck with this. Peace.